All right, welcome back. And in this module, we're going to be talking about the number one best exercise on hacking buying psychology. And I kid you not, this is probably one of the best exercise that got me like the biggest insights into what makes people buy, right? What makes people take action. So today's module is very simple. We're going to be talking about the question and my notes and examples on all of this and some other questions that follow along and what made me buy the most and putting it all together. And then we're going to be doing a 30-day exercise on this. Okay. So the single best exercise on sales, in my opinion, it all stems from a single question. That question is, why did I buy this? Right? What made me buy this thing? Like after a purchase, when you start asking yourself this question, you're really reverse engineering like the human psychology on what makes people buy. Like what was the one or two main factors that made me buy this thing? And you want to make this a habit, because the more you make this a habit, the better you become at sales and better you become like a sales psychologist, really. So what aspect of this funnel made me buy? Okay, or like what part of this sales page like made me pull the trigger, like what part of this email made me pull the trigger? And so we're pretty much reverse engineering ourselves and our own buying psychology. And some derivatives of this same question is, why did you buy this one and not the other one? Why did you buy this one and not the competitor's one, right? And so we're using these very useful questions to really get down to what makes people buy. And you want to ask this for everything, like make this a habit, and then you become such a good salesperson and like a good marketer. And when you start doing this and start reverse engineering your own buying behavior, you'll get clues on how your dream client's behavior also works. Because here's the thing, I said this many times, but your closest ideal dream client is very similar to yourself. So you probably have similar values, beliefs, interests, hobbies, maybe even personalities, right? I'll bet maybe it's like yourself from like a few years ago in the past. So you're talking to like your dream client is kind of like yourself from like maybe like 5 years ago. Okay. And because your ideal client is something that closely resembles yourself, your ideal client probably has a very similar buying psychology and behavior as you. Okay. And once you start tracking and noting these stuff, your own buying behavior, you'll know how to architect your offers in a way that will make people like you buy. Okay, so you're pretty much architecting offers that will make dream clients of yours buy your stuff. And the thing is, because you have bought the thing, it's not theory anymore, right? You actually took action and actually bought it. So it's not theory. It's like, at the very least, it's n equals 1. I mean, it's a small sample size, but it's better than like this some abstract like theory and like this is what makes people buy, and then you haven't even tested it, right? At least it's n equals 1. So let's go over some of my notes and examples on this, and I'll give you like a ton of examples on this because I've been doing this for quite some time. But here are just some buying examples, right? So let's start with something small. So this is a hair wax, and a wax, if you really think about it, wax is just like a commodity without a story, because like is there much difference between one wax and another? Not really, right? So I went to like a local like hair shopping place, hair like product place, because I ran out of my wax, right? And I was looking for the usual wax that I buy, but they ran out of it. And so I was like, okay, which wax should I buy? Because they're pretty much all the same, right? So I actually bought the one with the better packaging. And in my opinion, like packaging signals a story. So why did I buy one over the other? Well, I simply bought because it had better packaging. And so if you're like selling like a physical product, maybe you can focus a little bit on the packaging, okay? Because hey, I bought one product because of better packaging, so maybe you can focus on the packaging a little bit more. And I showed this the bag example, right? Because I was looking online for like a drawstring bag, and the two were like the exact same ones, but one was like 3 times higher the price. And I was like, why is this one so much higher? And then like in the description, there was like the story of the brand, and had like a video and everything, and it it made it perceive like it was the better option, even though it was the same exact product, right? And so I decided to buy the one that was 3 times the higher price, even though they were the exact same product, probably from the same manufacturer. So I reverse engineered my own psychology, and I asked myself, okay, why did I buy this one over that one? Well, I bought because of the story and the higher price, and the higher price made it seem more premium. And guess what? People with money will usually buy the better perceived one. Okay, so you want to include a story and oftentimes a higher price, because higher prices just usually tend to attract more higher quality clients. Okay, so I'll give you a wine example. Like I went to like it's not a wine shop, but it's like a convenience store, and they happen to sell wine. And at convenience stores, they don't have like the wine rating or whatnot. So how do I base, how do I find out if one wine is better than the other? Well, I couldn't. So I bought the one with better packaging. That was simply it, right? I bought wine with the better label and a better packaging. Simply put. So why did I buy? I bought because of the label and packaging. Again, the packaging, it became like this pattern. I'm noticing these patterns, and then you'll notice these too, like of my own buying behavior. And I notice I buy a lot of stuff simply because it has better packaging. Okay, like I must freaking by doing this exercise, I found out that I'm a sucker for good packaging. And other small things that I bought, like pens, accessories, and like everyday items, I bought because of the freaking packaging. So if you're like in like e-commerce or something, make sure to take some time on the packaging, because it makes me buy. So are other people, by the way. It's not just me, because I remember I went to like a convenience store with a friend, and then we were like getting like a soft drink, right? And then at the convenience store, my friend bought a drink, and he said, "Oh, I like this packaging of this drink." He simply bought because of the packaging, because of the packaging as well. So if it happens for one person, it will most likely happen for another person, because human psychology is not too different from one person to another. And he bought it because it had this luxurious like packaging, and looked like a luxury product. You know what I mean? Or what we perceive it to be a luxury product. But the thing was, it tasted like shit. But he got sold because of the packaging. So here's an example of like, okay, why did I buy this burger over the other burger? So I was hungry. Yeah, I was at home and it was like lunchtime, right? And in my head, there were 2 like options for me of buying like a hamburger, and the 2 hamburgers were very similar in taste and like size and whatnot. But why did I buy one over the other? And so I reverse engineered this, and I bought the one that I bought because of convenience, because I used an app to buy and have it delivered, and it saved my order from last time. So all I had to do was click the same order as last time, and boom, it would come to my door. Versus the other burger place, I had to walk like 2 minutes outside. It's like very close, but then just because of convenience, I bought the other one, right? So have that in mind. Like when you're like marketing something, selling something, like make it convenient. Okay, make it convenient for people to buy. I'll give you like a digital program example. So the price was usually like $100, right? And I bought because of the sale price. Whoopie-doo. What do you know? People buy because when something is on sale, the people tend to buy. So for like a Black Friday offer, like it said like, hey, you can get this bundle for like a one-time price of only $27 when the usual price was $100. So I bought because of the sale price. And I also bought the upsell, by the way, because of the price. And I also bought because of scarcity, because it said, I won't ever see this offer again. And throughout this exercise, my pattern of my buying behavior pattern is I'm also a sucker for scarcity. Like if something is like a limited time offer, I tend to buy it. And so like you can buy this extra template for an additional $37 and you won't ever see this again. So I bought the upsell as well. So why did I buy? I bought because on Black Friday I thought it was a good deal, and I kept my eye on it for some time. And you know, it was something I needed for my business. It was like a unique mechanism. And here's the thing: a buyer in momentum tends to stay in momentum. That's why upsells work, and they work very well, because a buyer in momentum tends to stay in momentum. So another thing that made me pull the trigger was in an email, in the PS of an email, it says something like this, right? It said, "PS, if you skipped over the upgrades the first time and are racked regret, I'll give you a second chance. Reply and I'll get you the link." And I actually bought because of this small little snippet at the end of the email. And so like I thought to myself, okay, why did I buy? The thing is, I did regret it. Like I actually did regret it, because he offered it for a limited time and it was like over. But then like another reason I bought was like, how did he know that I regretted it, right? Like he spoke at a deeper level. He knew I regretted it. And then oftentimes, like if you can voice what someone has been feeling deep down inside, it is highly influential. Like it instructs somebody to take action. So I'll give you like high ticket examples of my own buying behavior. So like coaching programs, right? Like if you ask yourself, like, why did you buy like a certain mentoring or like coaching program, something like that, that's like high ticket, it usually isn't just one thing. It's usually just like a multitude of things. So for me, why I bought is it wasn't just one thing. It was like a series of like the emails that he was sending, and then like his posts, and it brought me like, you know, like insights and like light bulbs going off in my head. And he had like this very like, you know, unique perspective, a unique mechanism, and of course it made my life better, of course. Like it freed up a lot of my time. And I've been reading the emails over like a few months, and what got me over the fence, by the way, what like made me pull the trigger, was he provided like a one-time like digital ticket to one of his workshops. So I ended up buying and taking up you know, like the coaching after I attended the workshop. So I thought, this stuff works, right? So I started including small samples of my trainings to sell to people, because I know it works, because it worked on me, right? It worked on me. All right, so some other questions you can ask. How about, why did you not buy? Like maybe you were so close to buying something, but then you just did not end up buying it. That's another very great question to ask. Like, why did I not buy that thing? So I'll give you an example. There's this like website builder called Webflow. You maybe have heard of it, because I have been like a long time user of WordPress for the longest time, right? But then when this came out, it was like this, you know, unique mechanism. It was very new and unique. And Webflow, what it is, it's a website builder. But the thing is, it's like self-hosted, so you don't need like separate hosting. It's very visual and almost no code needed, and you don't need all these different plugins or anything like you do with WordPress. And I was very sold on it because they were, you know, comparing it to WordPress, which again is like the psychology of contrast, right? And with Webflow, like you don't need to like update every single like plugin, or you don't need to like update like a million things in the background, like a PHP, or like go through like your cPanel and whatnot. And then like I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but if like one of your plugins break, it freaking breaks the whole website, and yada yada. So I was like, oh man, I want to like try this thing out, like try, you know, because it got me sold. Like I was sold on this, but here's why I didn't buy. I didn't pull the trigger because they said, oh, okay, there is a pretty steep learning curve. And I was like, oh, geez, I don't want to waste my time on like a new thing and spend hours and hours when I could, you know, I could just do it with WordPress, you know? So I thought it wasn't worth my time for like a small incremental increase in like my websites or whatever. So why did I not buy? Convenience. Again, like you'll see patterns of this. Like when you do this for long enough, you'll like see patterns of like what makes you buy, what makes you not buy. And another pattern for me was inconvenience. If something is inconvenient, and if I think it creates a lot of work, or it needs a lot of work, then I will not buy it. Just like that hamburger example, right? One was more inconvenient, so I didn't buy that one. I bought something more convenient. So in your like content or your doc offer or whatever, like your emails. Try to make stuff more convenient for people. So it's important to remove resistance. Remember, sell them what they want, give them what they need on the back end. And the thing is, like, just because you don't have something in your offer, it doesn't mean you're not going to provide it, right? You're just providing it in the back end. So another question here is, why did I stay? Like, think about your coaching programs or like a mastermind that you took, or maybe it's like a software subscription. Like, why did you stay? So I'll give you an example of like an AI writer tool and why I stayed subscribed. So the thing is, I didn't need this anymore. Okay. Like, I used it, I tried it, and I didn't really need it anymore. But then I saved up so much credit. And even though I didn't need it, I kept my subscription to save my credits. And the wording, like when I went to cancel, was like, oh, I will lose my credits if I cancel without an active subscription. And so I was like, oh God, I saved up so much credit. I don't want to like cancel now. So I stayed on for an additional 6 months after I didn't need it anymore. 6 months that I barely used. And I finally decided to cancel. And I decided to stay because, you know, I didn't want to lose on the credits pretty much. Okay. And other software programs, like, I didn't want to cancel because like they had that term like, hey, you are grandfathered into this price. If you cancel now, the price will go up. And I stayed because even though I didn't need it, I was like that term, like I was grandfathered in. I didn't want to lose out on the opportunity, FOMO, right? So what I did was I started to put it into my offers, into like some of my emails and stuff. It's like, and if you look at one of the templates, it actually says this, like, this is the lowest price it will ever be, period. The price will increase at an exponential rate. Once it's gone, sorry. You will be grandfathered in at this price for life and not be subject to future pricing. So I used my own buying pattern and buying psychology, and I included it into my offers. So that's pretty much what you're going to be doing as well. You're going to be taking notes on what made you buy and the patterns that made you buy, and then include it into your offers. Because if you bought something, most likely your dream clients have similar buying psychology and behavior. And if you include that, you'll also be able to sell to your dream clients. Okay, so going over like the notes that I took, I asked myself, okay, what patterns, what made me buy the most, right? And over time, I would see patterns of my own buying psychology, buying behavior, and it decoded the underlying psychology. And here are the 3 things that made me buy the most. 3, very like the cycles of patterns that I would notice when I bought something. Number 1, and this is like not in any particular order, but then number 1, what made me pull the trigger the most was urgency, scarcity, and FOMO. And then you'll pretty much see this behavior when you're selling something too. Like when you have like a deadline, like say it's like a 10-day deadline, you will see that most people, like a majority, 50% plus of the people will come on the last day of the deadline, right? So yeah, we're like talking to like the underlying human psychology, right? So what made me pull the trigger the most is urgency, scarcity, and FOMO. Okay, and the other 2 is I usually buy something if like something was like this new, what we call unique mechanism. Like so there's like this fresh perspective that's useful for me in my life. And number 3 is very subtle, but like creating an emotional connection. That made me buy a lot. So again, the urgency, scarcity, and FOMO is what makes me pull the trigger the most. And what gets me hooked the most, I would say, is like having a certain unique mechanism, like certain game changers, right? Like, I never thought about it like that. Or like some people, when they create light bulbs in my head, it makes me hooked to whatever the messages they're saying or whatever they're selling. Okay, and usually something that makes life or business easier or better. Okay, these get me hooked in the most. And over time, if they send, like constant emails and follow-ups, then I end up buying. And so here's just some like examples of like quote unquote game changers that made me like buy stuff. So like selling with Google Docs. That was like, hey, this is a freaking game changer. You mean to say I don't need like to go on sales calls anymore? So that kind of fresh perspective tended to make me buy, right? Or like, like the new Apple computers with like the M chips, the laptops. When it first came out, I was like, wow, this is a freaking game changer. And so that is another thing that made me buy. And then like Webflow, like I explained, or like AI is another game changer, right? Or like Go High Level. It's like, I think it's like the best digital marketing software that I have come across with. And it's like a huge game changer because it replaces so many other softwares. Or like a certain new business model, or maybe it's like this new health thing, like this new diet, or like a unique training program, right? These are what made me buy the most, like certain game changers. And feeling. We might not notice it, but having an emotional connection with a certain person, it really, it's like a magnet to them. And then you, over time, for me anyways, I end up like taking like a program with them. And the feeling that gets you to buy is very, not a lot of people notice it, but then I hope you can become cognizant of this, because emotion sells. Story sells because it invokes a certain emotion. Okay. Example of this is like, and I could give many examples. So like Tony Robbins, like when I first encountered Tony Robbins, like I could tell that he really truly cares for his students, right? And in fact, in like some of his programs, he gets very emotional. It makes me tear up. You know what I mean? Because like, man, this guy, not only is he really changing my life, like he really cares for like his clients and his students. And because of that connection, like I freaking bought so many things from like Tony. I bought his books and like his programs and like his conferences. You know what I mean? And sometimes I would get emotional, like going through like some of like the figures like Tony Robbins, does to me. And another example is another old mentor of mine, but because like you could tell that he truly cares, and like some of his like messages and videos, and like it really gets to the core of me, man. It's like these heartfelt messages, and I'm like, oh man. And because of that, I freaking bought nearly everything that he sold. Like I bought like his personal coaching, I bought his workshops, I bought like his courses and whatnot. But yeah, because his messages like had such an emotional impact. It spoke at a primitive level and also equally logical, right? So you want to hit both logic, of course, but also the feeling level. And if you do that, then selling becomes just that much easier. And it made me want to work with him, and I bought everything he offered, right? So the brain is primitive, right? The brain is first and foremost, it's primitive. So that's why like scarcity, FOMO, these stuff works, because that's hitting the primitive brain. And emotion is also primitive. So these all hit the primitive center of the brain. So when you focus on that, selling again becomes a lot more easier. Hit primitive first, then hit profound. And profound just means like, unique mechanism, or like creating insights for people. So other reasons I bought over others, and social proof. If you have social proof, provide them, in like your emails or whatever. And great pictures online. So again, I'm a sucker for packaging, and then if it's something looks good online, like your Amazon listing or whatever, I tend to buy the one with the better picture, to be honest. Or like 2-for-1 deals. Again, sales work, convenience, of course. Something that's faster. So if like the promise is like faster, if it's like shipped faster, people with money will usually buy faster stuff. Okay. People with money will usually buy faster stuff. So provide like a faster alternative for them. And recommended by others. If it's a product or like a book or something that's recommended by somebody I respect, I tend to buy it. So like the book you bought on Amazon, like why did you buy it? Who recommended it, right? So I bought a book recently because a creator I admire recommended it. And why did you buy? Because of their recommendation? Well, because I respected that person, and respect sells, right? But of course, respect takes a bit of patience. That's why we have like the ongoing like posts and emails and whatnot. All right, so putting it all together now. So here are just like all the questions together. So again, try to make this a habit after every purchase, small or big, especially the big though. Okay, like why did I buy? Like what made me buy? Like what was the one or two main factors that made me buy? What aspect of this funnel made me buy? What made me pull the trigger? How did I feel when I bought this? Like what did that person make me feel when I bought this, right? And equally important, like why did I not buy? Okay, and what made you stay? That subscription to that software, what made you stay? Mastermind, what made you stay? That gym that you're at, what made you stay? You know, and you can ask other people, right? You can get insight into other people, like why did you buy that thing? Hey, what specific point made you purchase that thing? And if you want to go down further, you can ask questions like, hey, why did I click that email? And then you can kind of like model the headline after the one you clicked on. Like why did I read that email? Or why did I watch that video? Why did I read that IG post? You know? All right, so the 30-day exercise is really simple. Is get out your note-taking system. I just use simple Apple Notes. Create a folder or note called Why I Bought. Why I Bought, okay? And every time you buy something, big or small, write it down and get into the habit of being cognizant of your own buying behavior, and do it for 30 days. And gosh, it is a big hack. It is a big hack because you really become such a better person at sales and marketing when you do this. And write down what it is, number one. Number two, the date. Number three, the price, and why you bought it. Why you bought it, or why you didn't buy, right? So here's like an example, right? So what it is, Agility Writer, that AI, writing thing software, and write down the date you bought it, and then write down the price you bought it at, and then write down the reason why you bought it, or like the reason why I stayed. So I saved up so much credit, even though I didn't need it, I kept it to save my credits. The wording said, I will lose my credits if I cancel without an active subscription. And then I finally canceled after like 6 months of like additional months that I didn't even need. And the Webflow example again, so like what it is, the date, the price, and then why I almost bought, but then I decided not to buy, right? Write those down too. And you can start with this. Like, why did you buy this very program you're watching? Like, what made you buy it? You know what I mean? So reverse engineer that. Write down the reason why you bought this very program that you're watching right now. What made you buy? What aspect, what components of the offer made you buy? So the why could be, here's like some examples. Oh, he said this exact line about freeing up my time and it really resonated with me. Or if it's the price, say like the price. If it's a sale, say like the sale. If it's urgency, say it's urgency. If it's something like heartfelt, write that down. And sometimes just blatantly copy the part that made you buy, like word for word, and then paste it into your notes. I bought because he said this, right? And this is for like personal use, but then later on you can like reword it and then model it into your own perspective. And after 30 days, you will get a lot of data and you will see the patterns. You will see the matrix. Like take your data and then you want to put it into like your Google Doc or like your emails, your phone notes, your posts, whatever that made you buy. You want to add it into your own stuff. And here's an important point here. You may think that you're the only person that bought it for that reason, but that's rarely the case. Like you may think, oh my God, this resonated so deeply with me on an emotional level, and that's why I bought it. I'm sure other people won't resonate with the same message as I do, but that's rarely the case, because the thing that I found out is the more personal the reason, the more universal the reason. The more personal you think it is, it probably is the more universal the reason is. And especially with your dream clients, because again, your dream clients are very much like you. They have same beliefs, they probably have the same values, and they probably have these personal reasons why they are buying that thing. And again, if you can put it into words, what someone has deep down in their heart of hearts felt or believed, you can influence someone at the deepest core level. All right, so that is it for this video. I hope you found some good value out of this one. And I wish you abundance with your sales and your offers. I wish you prosperity, and of course, I wish you freedom. All right, talk soon in the next one. Peace.